Alec in Sunderland, thanks for waiting.
Hi.
Hi.
Hello?
Yeah, you're on.
Hi, okay. Hi. I actually exchanged a few messages on Facebook with Beth about this. This is about Tom Flynn and let's call it the war on Christmas, so maybe we shouldn't use that terminology.
It's the Bill O'Reilly war on Christmas.
Yeah.
Tom Flynn's just an accomplice.
Right.
Yeah.
But go ahead.
So
first of all, let me say that for Tom Flynn to call somebody not a real atheist, I think is very strange. I mean, the only way to be a false atheist would be to believe in a God.
Sure.
Yep. I'm with you.
Okay. All right. And then let me bring up this incident that apparently happened on December 23rd at LaGuardia Airport in New York.
Yeah, there was a guy who was not allowed on a flight because he lost his mind because somebody said Merry Christmas to him.
Okay. Now, I have tried to trace that, and I keep coming back to one article in the New York Post, and losing his mind seems to be a gross overstatement. They quote him twice, and both times he's saying, "Don't say Merry Christmas."
Yeah, so this is difficult to source. There were a number of news articles. I saw it. I skimmed through it. The gist of the story, as reported, is that one of the flight attendants or somebody had said Merry Christmas, and he said, "Don't say Merry Christmas," and she had asked, "What else should I say?" And he then proceeded to lecture them on why they shouldn't say Merry Christmas. And evidently, I really have a hard time believing that somebody was removed from a plane for just explaining why they don't think somebody should say Merry Christmas. And it was also reported that the other passengers were all applauded when he was removed from the plane. And I don't think that it's likely that the passengers all applauded just because they disagreed with the individual. So while losing his mind may be a bit of a stretch colloquially, I tend to think that it's likely that he got a little excited and perhaps heated and would not stop talking about it, and that's why he was removed. But I wasn't there, and I only have the same news stories that everybody else has.
Okay, yeah, I can't even find a duration of time that he supposedly stopped talking. All I can find is these two quotes.
Yep.
And I mean, if that's all he said, I think it's completely ridiculous that he would be removed from the plane.
Sure.
Yeah.
But if he's agitated and he's ranting, then I can fully see they're well within their rights to do that.
It's a kind. So
I mean, I can see talking about it for 2 to maybe 5 minutes, and then dropping it.
That's a pretty long time on an airplane, let me tell you. Especially if you're holding up boarding or something, right?
The thing is, like I said, none of us have enough information,
right.
And I wasn't there. But generally speaking, airlines don't like to remove people from their planes, especially in a way that's going to get press. And so I tend to think that they're going to be right a little more often than they're going to be wrong. And when people on the plane are clapping, I'm assuming that's a fact too, then I don't have any problem with it. The thing is, this thing about Christmas, somebody says Merry Christmas to me, it doesn't bother me a bit. I understand, and I've talked about before about, I don't run around telling people happy birthday on my birthday. And so you don't necessarily assume that everybody is celebrating. But if somebody said Happy Independence Day, you may not be celebrating Independence Day. You might not even be an American citizen. We're talking about July 4th, the only Independence Day that actually matters. I just do that just to make everybody else in the world smile. Sorry, I'm not that jingoistic. But nobody's going to get mad if you say Happy Independence Day or Happy 4th of July, which is, nobody says Independence Day. They just say, Happy 4th of July, Happy 4th, that type of thing. Nobody's going to get bothered, and it's because they don't see it as a religious holiday. They see it as a cultural holiday. And one of the points that I think we need to continue driving home is that by and large, Christmas, as it's celebrated in the United States and most of the West, it is a cultural holiday. It is a primarily secular holiday. If you ask people the things that they think of when they think of Christmas, Jesus doesn't even hardly make the list. And there was a news report, a news story, where several news stations, I've done interviews with people. What does Christmas mean to you? And they get family and presents and Santa, and none of these things have anything to do with Christianity at all. And Jesus didn't even make the cut for the newsreel, which outraged Christians, which is why there's this whole keep Christ in Christmas or put Christ back in Christmas or Jesus is the reason for the season. They have lost the fight on Christmas. See, now I'm doing the debate early. This debate's supposed to happen next. There you go.
You're helping Tom Flynn out by giving him your whole debate.
Well, maybe he'll concede long before we get to it. But the thing is, it's yes, it can be frustrating, annoying, perhaps even insulting to assume that somebody is celebrating a particular holiday. However, if it's a holiday that 90+% of the people in your area celebrate, you're not being a dick by saying it to people who might not happen to celebrate that. And if they say, you shouldn't say Merry Christmas, they're the ones that are being prescriptivist. They're the ones who are buying into the religious dogma, not the person who said Christmas, because they're exclusively looking at it as a religious holiday, and that is their justification for saying you shouldn't say that. In reality, you should say whatever the hell you want to say. And if somebody is bothered by it, they can say, I'd rather you didn't say, that to me. I don't celebrate it. And quite frankly, I'd say, okay, fine. Celebrate whatever you want for whatever reason you want and call it whatever.
But do it
you
in the
want.
context of a polite conversation, maybe. Huh?
Yeah. I doubt that. When I first saw this story, I was kind of half hoping that it was Tom Flynn that got removed from the airplane. But I doubt even Tom Flynn would have been removed from an airplane for merely pointing out that not everybody celebrates Christmas and maybe you shouldn't say it. I tend to think there's something more to this.
Okay. Well, let me give you my reasons for finding Christmas more objectionable. I refer to Christmas as the gateway lie. And by the way, Don, thank you very much for quoting John 3:16 earlier. I was about to quote it myself. But I viewed...
what is the gateway lie of Christmas?
Yes.
Santa's God light, I think is the...
Yeah.
So here's the thing. Why isn't Easter the gateway lie?
Because, you could look at it that way.
Because it's not very popular. I mean, it's not nearly as popular as Christmas. So what is it that's popular about... Do you really think that there are people who are lured into Christianity because of Christmas?
Yes, I do. Because there's the parallel between John 3:16 is, if you believe in God, then you will get the present of heaven, which is almost the same as saying, if you believe in Santa Claus, you will get presents.
So how come Christmas isn't the gateway drug to every other religion as well?
Well, because it is associated with Jesus at least in the United States and really most places.
Okay, but your analogy was, this is a gateway to Christianity because if you're good, you get a present. Well, first of all, that's not the standard model for Christianity for salvation. Not at all. Not even amongst Catholics who can just go in and apologize. It's not all about being good. The other thing about this is
Matt?
The overwhelming majority of people are raised celebrating this culturally, and those who are, including secular individuals, and there's nothing about the secular aspects of Christmas that necessarily leads someone to Christianity.
Matt, I didn't say if you are good. I said if you believe.
Okay, well, so now you've just drawn a dichotomy, because in Santa Claus, it's not whether or not you believe in him that you get presents, it's whether or not you're good. He's got a list of who's naughty and who's nice. There's nothing in the Santa mythos that requires that you believe in him. As a matter of fact,
I disagree.
Well, then you're wrong. I'm sorry. What is it about, where in the Santa mythos, in the night before Christmas and the various other Santa mythos, is there anything other than naughty and nice where you have to believe?
Well, in order for Santa to be keeping a list, Santa has to exist first.
Well, you're talking about this as irrelevant. It doesn't matter to the individual kid whether or not they believe. As a matter of fact, there's a lot of Christmas stories where Santa comes specifically to the people who don't believe to make them believe again.
I'm not familiar with any such stories.
Okay.
Can you name one?
Can I name one? Probably not off the top of my head, but which one?
Miracle on 34th.
Miracle on 34th Street.
Oh, yeah, I've never seen that, actually.
You don't know much about Christmas for somebody who seems to think that Christmas is a gateway to Christianity. You know what the gateway to Christianity is? McDonald's. McDonald's, because that's where they take the busloads of kids to get them all hamburgers during vacation Bible school. I mean, that has a stronger tie to whether or not kids are going to end up Christian than whether or not they celebrate Christmas, along with pretty much everybody else in the culture.
I disagree again.
Well, have you considered the fact that there are a number of Christian denominations that do not celebrate Christmas, and that Puritans made Christmas illegal, and that individuals like myself, who are, for example, raised Southern Baptist, are raised with the explicit, express, clear knowledge that there are two different Christmases. There is the religious observance of Jesus' birth, which was not around December 25th, but that's when we celebrated. And then there is the secular aspect of Christmas, which is Santa and elves and presents, and these two are separate. And the churches, when Christmas falls on Sunday, churches close down because attendance is too low. I tell you what, I'm going to save the rest of this for Tom Flynn.
Okay, let me make one more point here.
Okay.
And I would say one of the most famous Christmas things is the Peanuts Christmas special. Which
Yeah,
is
did you know Charles
fun-
Schultz was an atheist?
May I finish my point, please?
Sure.
Okay. I mean, the Peanuts Christmas special is a whole bunch of secular stuff, and then at the end, Linus makes that very famous speech about Jesus and the birth of Jesus in Bethlehem.
Yeah.
I mean, that's completely, let's go to a secular Christmas, and then at the end, let's bring in Jesus.
Yeah.
And you don't see that as a gateway from secular Christmas to worshiping Jesus?
No, and the reason it's not a gateway is because you've got it all backwards. It didn't go from secular to religious. The religions went around and adopted other stuff, and we've moved it back from religious to secular. It is a gateway to joy. It is a gateway to spending time with family. I don't know what your religious background is, but for those of us who were at least evangelical Christians, the very idea that Christmas is, that the secular aspect of Christmas is somehow a gateway to Christianity is beyond preposterous.
Okay, well, I'm a lifelong atheist, and whenever I would tell people
That explains a lot.
I was an atheist, people would just, their jaw would drop, and they would say to me, "You don't celebrate Christmas?" And that would just shock them. And
Yeah,
I
this
said,
is- this is
actually,
the-
yeah,
this
I
is-
did celebrate Christmas.
Yeah, this is the same kind of stuff that Tom uses. The fact that some people you've met who are Christians are just as confused about this as some other people is irrelevant to the larger point. I don't see this as a gateway to Christianity. If this was really a gateway to Christianity, if this was the big deal, then you would have Christian groups overwhelmingly coming out to not just keep Christ in Christmas, but let's get rid of that entirely, because it's the stealth aspect of this that you're advocating. It's the let's get him with the
Sorry, the
secular.
what aspect?
The stealth aspect. You're saying that the secular celebration of Christmas leads them back to the religious aspect. This is your gateway drug analogy. And if that's the case, then Christians shouldn't be wanting to put Christ back in Christmas and object to the secularization of Christmas. They should, in fact, be encouraging more secularization of Christmas if, in fact,
I agree with you there, and if you look at who's advocating that, I mean, Kirk Cameron is really not the brightest bulb in the world.
We agree with you there.
Anyway. All right, thanks for the call. I appreciate it.
Okay.